All right, well, welcome to the first edition of what I will call the EOS update. Bear with me as my eyes are going to go down. I got a lot of notes here. I want to stay on pace and I don't want to waste a lot of your time. So, I want to talk a little bit about the EOS initiative within the organization. Many of you have probably heard what EOS is. It's the Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's nothing more than a people management system, and I'm going to get into the 6 components of EOS here in just a second. Leadership roles are essential. You're going to hear a acronym come out quite frequently called LMA. Leadership plus management equals accountability. Doug and I are very well aware accountability is lacked within inside the organization for quite some time. Hence why we're going down the EOS road. I also encourage you to support your teammates through the implementation of EOS and beyond, not just through the implementation, but we're a team, right? There's 80 plus of us. We work as an organization. We function as an organization. In order to have fun within the work environment, it's going to require support from each and every one of you. So let me jump into the component side. First, the first component of EOS is the vision, right? What's the vision of the organization? And so we've been hard at work and really establishing what are our core values? What are the things that mean the most to us as an organization? I've talked to many of you throughout this last few months about what are some of the things that are important to you. And so we came up with 6 core values. They're going to make their way into some of the meetings, and they're also going to be presented to you in the form of signs in all of our facilities moving forward. In that, you're not only going to see our core values, but you're going to see our mission statement and our culture statement as well. I encourage you to keep the core values top of mind. So when you're struggling or you're having tough conversations with people inside the organization, these core values are going to be ever apparent, right? And they're as important now as they have ever been. And so it's really going to guide us in through this EOS implementation. The next thing inside of the vision component is what we call the VTO, Vision Traction Organizer. It's nothing more than just a fancy term for a business plan. And so our vision, what's our vision for this year, right? And so you're going to start seeing that make its way out through our departments. And then the traction portion of that is what's our 3-year picture, what's our 5-year picture, what are our goals moving forward. Second component is our people component. People, it takes people to run the organization, right? I've noticed as I come in, there's a lot of people wearing a lot of hats. And so Doug and I have been hard at work in building out what we call success profiles. It's nothing more than a fancy word for job descriptions. And it's really the roles and responsibility of what your job is, right? If you haven't seen your success profile, don't worry, it's coming. I fully expect those to all be executed by the end of the month, and probably it'll take us into July with the LSP side of the organization. Again, my apologies. I know there's a lot of people coming to others inside the organization saying things like, I haven't had my time with Coleman yet. It's okay. It's coming. I'm committed to sitting down with you. So just be patient with me. But we've also analyzed the position, the seat, the role within inside the organization, and saying, do we have the right people in the right seats to take us to the next step within the organization, right? So a lot of that's coming through Doug and I and some other leadership inside the organization, but we're working really hard and making sure our people are taken care of. We have clearly defined what success looks like, hence the success profile, and then we are rolling that out to the rest of the organization and you or your employees so that they understand what success looks like too. I think that's only fair. The third component to EOS is the data portion of EOS, or data component. KPIs have started making their way out slowly but surely inside of some of the departments inside the organization. We expect to aim for full KPI implementation inside the entire organization by the end of Q3. There are a lot of departments inside the organization. Really, you have 3 of them. You have operations, which are manufacturing. You have sales. I don't need to go any further on that. And then you have the marketing, right? So that is all coming out. First of all, I want to back up to our people component. Within the people component, there's a tool called the accountability chart. It's nothing but an organizational chart. And what that's going to allow you to do is have line of sight on what departments are, who is involved with what department, right? So you're going to see what the roles and the responsibilities are for that department and that person. That accountability chart is going to live within 90.io. I'll get to that in a minute. Going back to the data portion, Not only are we looking for full implementation of all KPIs for every department by the end of Q3, we're also working on the back half of this year's budget, and we are also working on the 2025 budget, which is going to make its way out at our annual meeting. I'll get into the meeting stuff here in just a little bit. Process component, the fourth component. Processes are something that I've realized that we just haven't stayed up to date with. We are implementing a new system called Trainual. Trainual is going to be the environment where all our processes live. So think about processes as documented, right, and followed by all. So we identify the process, we document the process, and we make sure everybody's following those processes. All that documentation of those are coming out inside Trainual, and you can expect that as an entire organization by the end of the year. We're focusing heavily right now on the Acumatica portion of that because it's our new system. Dave Babcock has come on, so shout out to Dave. He came out as a project manager. He's helping me through a lot of things that have just been sitting out there for quite some time that we just need to get across the finish line. So there's some big chunky projects he's working on at the moment. And then shout out to Josh Reeser. He's helping me with the Acumatica processes and a lot of stuff coming down at Ultra. So at the end of the Acumatica process documentation, we're going to get into process documentation for all the departments within the organization. So you look at compounding or filling or warehousing or shipping and receiving or any of that stuff. Dave and Josh are going to be in touch with each one of the department leaders and making sure that we document the processes inside those departments and that they live inside that Trainual environment. Issues is our fourth component to EOS. We all have issues, right? Some of them are deeper rooted than others. But I encourage you to start documenting your issues inside of 90.io. If you don't know what 90.io is, get with your leader. But document your issues, discuss your issues, and then try to find a solve to the issues. It's super important to me that we focus on solving rather than griping about issues that have been a part of the organization for quite some time, right? And so the only way that we can get past these issues is to find some sort of solve to them. And then let core values guide you through this issue processing portion of your meetings. It's important to Doug and I that you guys use core values and you make them a part of who you are within the organization. If you have questions about those core values, again, they're going to make their way out. Traction is the last component to EOS. So traction, it's comprised of your meeting pulse and your rocks. So we have a meeting pulse. A lot of you have told me, man, I got a lot of meetings. Yeah, I'm aware. But meetings are only as good as you make them, right? And so I encourage you and challenge you to spend some time prior to the meetings that you go into to plan to make it an effective meeting, right? In 90.io is where you're going to run all your meetings. There's an agenda to every meeting. Every meeting should follow the same agenda. But that is called your L10, a level 10 meeting. So a level 10 meeting is just literally all of us inside the meeting. We grade the meeting at the end of the meeting, and we're trying to get to a level 10 meeting. So we want to make it an effective meeting. Again, to make it an effective meeting, I encourage you and challenge you to plan for the meeting. The second meeting that you guys will have, each individual inside the organization will have a GSNR, which we call a goal setting and review session. It's nothing more than a fancy word for one-on-ones, but this one-on-one is comprised of you and your leader, and there's a template to follow. Again, if you haven't seen the template, if you haven't had the one-on-one, it's okay, it's coming. But accountability is key as we move forward, and that's what really that GSNR is there for. We want to make our meetings impactful, like I said, so please do your part prior to meetings to make the meetings as impactful as possible. 90.io, just want to touch on that for a second. If you haven't used 90.io, it's not a suggestion. It is required within the organization, and so get with your leader. Make sure that you have access to it. If you don't have access to it or your team doesn't have access to it, feel free to reach out to myself again or your leader, and we'll make sure that you guys get the invite. There are a lot of projects going on right now inside Acumatica specifically. So Dave and Joshua and I and Kevin and New and Michael and others are working through a lot of those things so we can make your lives easier from a day-to-day basis. This update will come to you every other week. I encourage you to watch the video here each and every time the email comes out, but know this: I'm committed to making this organization great. Doug and Rita are too. And so I understand we're moving a lot of cheese right now, and there's a lot of conversation going on. And you might be asking yourself, like, well, when am I going to get my turn with Coleman? Again, it's coming. But just know that all this stuff is very important to us. You guys are important to us, and we really, really, really look forward to a bright future as an organization. It's just slow but steady right now, and my goal is to have EOS implemented and all of us to be running on all cylinders by the end of the year. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to connecting with you guys in the future. Take care now.